This is the United States of America, and as we had learned in the previous episode, it is a land of many flags. A nation where every state has its own flag, as well as every county. And we certainly can't forget that almost every city and town has its own flag as well. In the previous episode, we looked at various cities across the East Coast and checked out their flags. Today, we're going to move a little west in what I like to call the Central US? Sure, let's do that. This isn't official geographic splitting in any way, it's just how we're gonna do it. Also in the previous episode, we learned about what makes a good flag and what makes a bad flag, according to the North American Vexillological Association. Let's do a quick little recap on that. Number 1. Keep it simple. A flag should be so simple that a child can draw it from memory. Number 2. Use meaningful symbolism. A flag's images, colors, or patterns should relate to what it symbolizes. Number 3. Use 2 or 3 basic colors to limit the number of colors on the flag. Use colors that contrast well and come from a standard color set. 4. No lettering or seals. Never use any type of writing or any kind of organizational seal on a flag. And number 5. Be distinctive or be related. Avoid duplications of other flags, but use similarities to show connections if warranted. So with that in mind, let's check out some more flags of American cities. Welcome to the Deep South. We're going to check out Montgomery, Alabama's state capital. The city was once the capital of the Confederate States of America during the Civil War, as well as being the heart of the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. And that's just a snippet. The city's been through a lot, and their flag represents that. Designed by a local citizen and adopted in 1952, the Montgomery flag is unique in its design. The most notable colors are gray and red, which are split by a blue diagonal stripe. The flag is hoisted at the pole on the gray side. The gray represents the uniforms of the soldiers of the Confederate Army. Don't forget, Montgomery was the capital of the Confederate States of America, at least to begin with. Then we have the red representing the red on the Alabama state flag. The blue and the gray on the flag represents the different uniforms worn by the different militaries during the Civil War. Blue was for the Union, gray was for the Confederates. The stars on the diagonal blue stripe represent the Confederate states. The big golden wreath shows that all those states were united in honor and glory. So overall, not a bad looking flag. You could argue that maybe you'd get rid of the words, maybe get rid of the wreath, but otherwise, it's an alright flag. I do think the colors are unique because it's not often you see gray and red combined on a flag, and there's no lacking of symbolism. And next, we got Jackson, the capital of Mississippi. Jackson too has seen its fair share of hardships, and in the recent years has seen population decline. In 1992, the city held a competition for a new flag, and in 1993, they adopted this as their flag. Right away, you can see the big star in the middle represents Jackson as the capital of Mississippi. The blue behind the star denotes the Pearl River, which runs by the city of Jackson, and has been known to exceed its boundaries and flood the city many times. So the blue definitely fits the flag, but what about the green? Oddly enough, the green doesn't have an official meaning. I would say it probably means the greenery of the state. And lastly, we have the white stripes, which meet at the center of the star. They symbolize Jackson as being the crossroads of the South, because a decent enough amount of roads lead there. And there you go, now you know what Jackson's flag looks like. Like the previous 2 cities on our list, Wheeling, West Virginia has also been through rough times. The city too is on decline with a stagnant economy and a declining infrastructure around it. But the citizens still love their forgotten city, and what makes it so heartbreaking is how much civic pride they have. Prior to 2018, this was the flag for the city of Wheeling. But in that same year, they introduced this beautiful new flag. Let's dive into it. We got 2 outer bars that are blue, a white stripe in the middle, and 5 yellow stars in the center. The 2 blue horizontal bars represent the Ohio River and Wheeling Creek. But the stripes have more meaning. When combined blue, white, and red, there's 3 bars which represent 3 modes of transportation that were integral to Wheeling's growth in the early days. The top blue is supposed to represent the river, the white is supposed to represent road, and the rail is supposed to be the bottom blue. The 5 stars in the middle also represent 5 important eras in Wheeling's past. The first star is called the Indigenous Star, and symbolizes all the local tribes that used to live in this area. The second star is the Frontier Star, notable for the Zane brothers and their settlement of the area, as well as Fort Henry and its sieges fought against it during the American Revolutionary War by the British and Native Americans. The third star is the Transportation Star, centering Wheeling as the hub of early modes of transportation, the river, road, and rail. Number 4 is the Statehood Star, letting everybody know that Wheeling was once the capital of West Virginia, which was the only state born out of the Civil War. Last but not least is the fifth star, the Industrial Star. It represents how Wheeling used to be an industrial powerhouse in this region, but not anymore. It should be noted that the stars on the flag are compass stars with 8 sides, representing navigation, since Wheeling used to be a center for transportation. As well, the colors on the flag are the same official colors as the state of West Virginia. Don't forget, as you just learned in this video, Wheeling used to be the capital and birthplace of West Virginia. So thank you, Wheeling. You're not forgotten by us and all the people watching. You've got a beautiful flag, and we wish you the best in the future. Our next flag was designed in a contest in 1896, but wasn't adopted until 1940. That is the flag of Cincinnati, Ohio. In the very center, we see a red letter C for Cincinnati. The cute little leaves on top are Buckeye leaves. They represent Ohio because Ohio is the Buckeye State. Ohio State is known as the Buckeyes. They have this creepy looking mascot, and now you know that that mascot is actually a Buckeye seed. You're welcome. Now let's go back to the flag. The words on top, Juncta Juvent. It's the motto of the city and it has various meanings, including United They Assist, Things Joined Together Are Helpful, and Growth Through Unity. Sure, okay. So, next we have this winged rod, which signifies commerce. There's also 2 serpents going up the rod, and those are supposed to represent wisdom. The sword on the other side represents authority and power. Then up top we have the scales of justice for equality. The wavy blue lines symbolize the Ohio River, which goes right by Cincinnati, and then it's all topped off with a white background. And that's the flag of Cincinnati. Considering this flag is over 100 years old, that's not bad design. It's quite popular with locals, and even the local professional soccer team adopted the flag and just simply changed the colors. This flag was also ranked the best flag in all of Ohio by the North American Vexillological Association. Welcome to Motor City. Detroit's flag has changed many times through the years, but it's retained its same basic design since it was created in 1907. The flag has many flag sins, but that's okay. Let's go through what we got here. In the center of the flag is the city seal of Detroit. There are 2 Latin mottos. On the left, it reads, "We hope for better things." On the right, it reads, "We will rise from the ashes." That motto was written in 1805 after the Great Detroit Fire, which burned down the entire city except for one building. I don't think they expected that motto to still stand true today. Detroit is home to more abandoned buildings than any other city in the United States. Detroit has seen over 1,180,000 people leave since 1950. The woman on the left weeps of the destruction, while the one on the right gestures for a new city to rise in its place. Outside of the seal there are 4 quadrants. The upper left with the stars and the lower right with the stripes represent the United States, specifically the 13 original colonies. The lower left represents France, since they originally founded a fort where Detroit is. The upper right represents Great Britain, who then took control of the fort in 1760. Detroit's flag may be a little busy looking, but it's definitely seeped in history. In 2019, there were some rumblings of maybe having a new flag, but the city council and the city of Detroit doesn't seem like they're interested. Chicago, America's 3rd largest city, may have the best known city flag in the country. Wait a second. Did Wheeling, West Virginia get inspiration from Chicago's flag? You bet they did. Now sometimes we say that flags lack symbolism. This is probably an example of a flag that has too much symbolism, throwing symbolism where it isn't even needed. I mean, look at all this. Let's get started. So unlike most flags throughout the country, Chicago flags are held with much pride. You can find them everywhere on merchandise, tattoos, businesses, police cars, everything. But what does it all mean? Well, let's run through that real fast. The first notable thing are the red stars in the middle. When Chicago's flag was first adopted in 1917, the flag originally only had 2 stars. Each of those stars is a major event in Chicago's history, meaning they can add more stars in the future. The first star was the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. The fire left the city with 100,000 people homeless. The second star was for the World's Columbian Exposition, held in 1893. This World's Fair essentially celebrated the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival to the New World, America. The third star was the Century of Progress exhibition in 1933 to celebrate 100 years of progress. The fair also celebrated Chicago's first 100 years as a city. The fourth star stands for Fort Dearborn, and it was added in 1939. The fort was constructed by the U.S. Army in 1803 in what is now the birthplace of Chicago. And here's what I mean when there's maybe too much symbolism. Each tip of these 6-sided stars also has a meaning, but I'm not going to go over each one of them because unless you want this to be a full-on college course, we don't have time for that. Each of the white stripes on the flag represents a different area of Chicago. The top stripe is the north side, the middle stripe is the west side, and the bottom stripe is the south side. That would probably mean the blue stripes have a meaning too, and they do. The top blue stripe is for Lake Michigan and the north branch of the Chicago River, while the bottom blue bar is for the south branch of the Chicago River and the Great Canal. And that's about all you need to know for the flag of the city of Chicago. Up next is Indianapolis, the capital of Indiana, the Midwest city with a really cool looking flag. Let's begin. The flag was adopted in 1963, and at the very center we see a white star and a red circle. The star represents the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, but around it you also see a white circle. This is Monument Circle. The Soldiers and Sailors Monument is located in the center of Monument Circle, both of which are located in downtown Indianapolis, and they're just a few blocks from the Indiana State Capitol building. Because that star has a dual meaning, showing that Indianapolis is also the capital. But now even cooler, let's look at the flag real quick. Now let's get a view from above of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in Monument Circle. Now that's a perfect match of the flag, and so cool. The star, the circle, everything lines up perfectly with the roads. That is really neat. And it isn't a coincidence because the 4 white stripes do represent the roads. They all meet at the center at Monument Circle, and it also ties in with Indianapolis being the crossroads of America. The 4 blue quadrants are for different neighborhoods in the city, and the flag is red, white, and blue to show its patriotism to the USA. Overall, I think Indianapolis has one of the coolest flags in the United States. It was also ranked 8th in the whole country by the North American Vexillological Association. Going from one good flag to the next, St. Louis, whose flag was rated the 5th best in the country by the North American Vexillological Association. The flag was adopted in 1964, replacing this flag, which in itself was pretty nice looking too. Now it's time to break it all down. The golden disc at the center symbolizes the city of St. Louis and its French heritage. St. Louis is also located at the confluence of the Missouri and Mississippi rivers, which can be seen by the 2 wavy diagonal lines meeting at the center. The single wavy line that continues horizontally is the Mississippi River, as it goes on by itself to the Gulf of Mexico. The colors on the flag also pay homage to the countries that helped develop St. Louis. Red, white, and blue is on there for the United States of America. France is represented with blue, white, and red. Bourbon France is the white and gold, and Spain is red, yellow, and gold. And that is apparently one of the best flags in the USA. I would say that Dallas's flag with a star on it is kinda neat, if it wasn't that every other city in Texas that seems to have a flag has a star. I mean, heck, even Baytown, Texas has an ugly star. And that place is just oil refineries. About the only place that doesn't have a star on their flag is Bastrop, Texas. And that's probably why everybody has a star on their flag. I mean, what could you possibly want to know about Dallas's flag here? We got a star with 2 stars inside of that star. So a star inside of a star within a bigger star. And inside that big white star is the city seal of Dallas, which isn't even that good of a city seal. It's boring. And it's a flag sin. No seals on your flag. No writing on your flag. And it's not distinctive because every single flag in Texas seems to have a star and it's red, white, and blue. And let me guess, the red, white, and blue stands for the colors of Texas. Oh, guess what? They do, just like every other flag in Texas. But you know what, Dallas? You know what really gripes me? With all the reasons here not to like your flag? Seals, lettering, unoriginal, boring. I like your flag. Tulsa's had a long history with different flags for the city, but now I think they've found the one. In 2017, a group of private citizens tried to get a new flag for the city of Tulsa. They received over 400 design submissions and had over 8,000 votes cast to choose the winner. The new design was a huge success. Businesses and citizens loved it. And that same year, the city council voted to have that new flag become the official flag of Tulsa. And what does it look like? Here it is. Blue, gold, beige, and red are the colors on this flag. Very unique, very nice. The blue on the top is for the Arkansas River, which flows right through the city. The gold line stands for prosperity, because this area, well, they found gold in 1901, but not the gold you're thinking of. I'm talking about black gold. Crude oil, that is. Tulsa's made quite a name for itself due to oil, and it made many people very wealthy, which is where the red part of the shield on the flag comes into play. It stands for the lives lost during the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, which destroyed the most prosperous African American community in the country. What happened is city officials promoted white residents to go in there and destroy the neighborhood. This, of course, was after years of tense racial stress. Over 800 blacks were hospitalized and over 30 were killed, and several thousand were left homeless after their homes and businesses were burned. It wasn't until the National Guard came in and brought order back to Tulsa. The Greenwood neighborhood went from looking like this to this. But this flag doesn't stop there. The golden shield there is a simplified version of the Oklahoma state flag, and also represents how Native Americans were forced to relocate to Oklahoma's Indian Territory. After all we just learned, this star represents that Tulsa has a bright future. And lastly, the beige on the lower part of the flag represents warmth of the community. Thanks, Tulsa. Wichita's flag was created in 1937, but was completely forgotten until the North American Vexillological Association decided to rank it the 6th best flag in the United States. This quickly filled Wichitans with a bunch of pride. And now the flag is starting to pop up all over the capital city. But as with the question of life, what does it all mean? We'll start with the blue sun in the center, which has red and white rays radiating out from it. The white symbol inside that blue sun is the Native American symbol for home, and the stripes alternating from the blue sun represent a path of freedom for people to come and go as they please. The flag's creator wanted the flag to bring peace, happiness, and contentment to all who saw it. And I believe this flag accomplishes that. It looks really nice. And we'll end here on a good note, with a city longing for a flag, and finally having that dream realized. Okay, go ahead and take a seat. Time for a little story. This is one of my favorites. It's an instant classic. Okay, it is called The Little City That Wanted a Flag. Once upon a time in the not too distant past, was a little city in the absolute middle of nowhere. Its name was Sioux Falls. It saw that all the other cities a million miles away had flags, and it wanted one too. Sioux Falls, South Dakota didn't have a flag. Even the mayor in 2004 was surprised to find out that the city didn't have a flag. So rumblings began. Why didn't Sioux Falls have a flag? A design competition was held in 2014, and this flag was chosen the winner, but it took until 2018 for the city council to finally approve and make this the official flag of Sioux Falls. There was much celebration in the small city, as merchandise and flags were spread throughout the city. Homes, government buildings, offices, you name it, flags started appearing. It was one thing to have the flag, but what did the flag mean? The yellow sun at the upper left is a symbol from the flag of South Dakota. That symbol is there because South Dakota used to be the Sunshine State, before Florida came and ruined it for them. So South Dakota became the Mount Rushmore State, and they also changed that on their flag. The blue portion of the flag alludes to the blue part of the South Dakota flag. So the whole thing. The lower red portion represents Sioux Quartzite, which was quarried nearby and was used to build early Sioux Falls buildings. And lastly, the most important symbol. The blue and white zigzag is Sioux Falls itself, created out of the Big Sioux River. And if you look at it another way, it's also ascending, like the growth of Sioux Falls itself. And the little city grew happily ever after. The end. And that's all we got for this episode. We looked at a bunch of flags from the central United States. And in the next episode, we're going to look at more flags as we move our way west to the west coast of the United States. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.